Alright, what is up my dudes? I'm doing another album versus album, and this time we are doing Motörhead for the year 1979 in honor of May 8th, which is Motörhead Day. And so yeah, let's just get right into it. These are once again earlier albums for this band. Overkill being released in March, being Motörhead's second album, and Bomber released in October, and of course being their third album. So this time we have the same exact lineup. Both albums, we got Lemmy Kilmister, of course, on vocals and bass, Fast Eddie Clarke on guitar, and Filthy Animal Taylor on drums. The classic lineup, even though I think all lineups of Motörhead are absolutely phenomenal. So let's go ahead and just kind of talk about, I have some parameters for this one as well that I'm going to kind of focus on. Won't be the biggest thing, but I'm just going to focus on them. And that's going to be the title track, the B-sides, because both of them had very predominant B-sides, the opener for each album, the closer for each album, and the side B opener. So first and foremost, let's just pull up each of the albums here and take a look at them. The artwork isn't necessarily the best rendering, being remastered CDs. First, let's look at Overkill just overall. This is the second record. This one was released in March. Classic album cover here. I have this patch on my vest. It's absolutely incredible. It's so unique, especially for like a second album. They're like, oh, we have this cool Snaggletooth character. Let's go crazy with it. Let's be really creative with it. The creator of it doesn't really like this artwork. He said he wanted to recreate it on Inferno, another incredible album. And although we have a different person that did Bomber, the Snaggletooth is still on here. Now, I will say, I didn't realize that this was a Bomber plane for so long, for whatever reason. Like, the angle it was at, I just didn't really get it until I, like, really looked at it, like, years and years ago. And I was like, oh my god, it's a plane. I'm such a dumbass. Like, for a long time, I thought the head was like a robot and like this was its arm or something. I just didn't, like, I just glanced at it. Like, I never actually looked at it and was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But this is cool because each of the members is like in their little things. Like, the more you look at it, the more interesting it is. So of the artwork, it's really hard to say. I think both of them are classics in their own right. But honestly, I think the Bomber is probably the most unique Motörhead album cover. So I think Bomber is pretty cool. So both of them have 10 tracks. Overkill is 34 minutes. Bomber is 36, even though they're both 10 tracks. And let's kind of just go with the openers for each one. So this is weird. So the opener for this one is the title track, which is Overkill, of course. And then the opening for this one is Dead Men Tell No Tales. Both of them are absolutely classics, but it's Overkill. Like, this is the last song that Motörhead ever played live. They closed out every set with it for years and years and years. So it's hard because I think Dead Men Tell No Tales is a absolutely fantastic song, but it's up against Overkill. Like, that one's a hard one. So I think we're going to go with Overkill on this one just because it's just the Motörhead song, I think. So that's pretty hard. Moving on. Let's go with the B-sides. So both of them had B-sides for the singles released for the records. For Overkill, there was actually two. There was Too Late, and Like a Nightmare. But we're just going to go with Too Late. And for this one, it was Over the Top. Over the Top was played live a lot. That was a pretty standard song in the Motörhead set list for a lot of years. As for Too Late, a classic, Metallica covered it. It's just one of those songs. And once again, I'm going to have to go with Too Late. It's just such a fucking great song. So yeah, we're just going to keep going. Title track. So Bomber versus Overkill. Once again, this is a really hard one because Overkill is like the Motörhead song, but it's also Bomber. Like, another huge Motörhead classic. So that's a really tough one. This was just an absolutely great year for these two records. But you know, honestly, in a weird way, I almost like the girls' school version of Bomber better in a weird way. I just feel like there's better Motörhead songs. Like, Bomber is a fucking great song, but it's not Overkill. That's like, that's the worst part. It's just not fucking Overkill. And then we're going to compare Bomber again with Limb for Limb. for the closing tracks. So that's kind of funny. The opener is the title track for this album. The closer is the title track for this album. So that, I think that's kind of funny. But for Limb, kind of a bluesy song, kind of a slow burn, I think, as opposed to Bomber, which once again, that huge Motörhead classic, big song, really fast, really epic, great pre-chorus to chorus. I love Lemmy's vocals on that song. Okay, now we're going to go with this side B opener. Once again, these records were released in '79, originally on vinyl, so they're 10 tracks each. So the side B opener for Overkill is No Class, and then for Bomber, it's Stone Dead Forever. Ooh, this is probably the toughest one. Both of these major Motörhead classics. I suppose people, yeah, they're deep cuts, but I mean, they're like huge deep cuts, you know what I mean? Oh, this is such a tough one. I'm kind of like singing them in my head a little bit too to, you know, like figure out. Once again, I gotta go with No Class. That's just a song I listen to more. I come back to it, play it in my head all the time. No Class. It's just so catchy, so great. So without those parameters, right? Without that shit. For me, Bomber is just a little bit slower. It doesn't keep my interest as much. My favorite songs on this are Dead Men Tell No Tales, Sweet Revenge, Stone Dead Forever, and Bomber. And I think just like when you listen to it in its entirety, it just doesn't have as many songs that stick out to me. You know, I'm sure a lot of people would maybe point out to like Poison or All the Aces as great Motörhead songs, but then you have them kind of brought down by songs like Talking Head or Step Down, which aren't really memorable to me. And I remember Lemmy was kind of saying in his autobiography that this one even had a couple of Naft tracks on it, and I agree, it does. You know, a lot of people are like, well, this is part of the classic lineup. What I think of the first 5 albums, the Filthy Animal, the Fast Eddie Clarke lineup, this is probably the weakest of those albums, in my opinion. Of Iron Fist, Ace of Spades, Motörhead, Overkill, Bomber, I think Bomber is the weakest one, just overall. Overkill is just a hard album to be compared to, I think. The problem with Bomber is the songs that stick out really stick out. They're really awesome. But Overkill, every single song sticks out to me. It has it has Overkill on there, Stay Clean, No Class, Damage Case, Metropolis, and of course Capricorn, I Won't Pay Your Price. Like, it's just so many songs on here. You're just like, whoa, like that's all on this album, their second record. This is fucking nuts. So to me, it's not that hard to say that Overkill is the better album. I knew that coming into this video that I was just gonna like this album more. It's so fucking good. And I love all Motörhead records. I really do. But for me, Bomber just falls a little bit more towards the bottom. Please let me know which of these two is your favorite. What's your favorite songs from these records? Do you agree with me, disagree with me, etc., etc.? I would love to know. But there you go. Motörhead, one of the greatest bands ever. And we're going to celebrate the 8th of May with this video. So thank you all so much for watching. Stay heavy, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.